clay, amount of clay, actually this could be cut in half, obviously depending on the size of your vessel. I start shaping my clay like a little carrot. So this part will actually be the bottom. And I learned sort of a different way where you don't do a lot of fussing. You actually kind of want to just make it work. So that's my start here. Okay, I hold it with my left hand, and because I'm right-handed, hold it over my bucket, and I just start pulling. And I rotate my hand, front, side, front, side. So you're compressing and elongating. And sometimes the last thing I'll do is I'll take my thumb towards the top here. This will be where it attaches, and I'll just do a pull just to give it a little dimension. And this is longer than what I need. Okay. If you just need one handle, you can sort of leave it to dry at an angle like this to fit your pot, right? Or you can cut it. I'm gonna cut with a dry hand. So I'll keep it in my left hand holding it, and then my right hand is gonna use the knife, and I'm gonna face it towards me. So that's going to be the front of the handle or the outside, and I face it towards me. And I cut from the front up and back with a fettling knife, something like that. So when it attaches to your pot, you've got a nice smooth attachment like here. So the angle really does it. Cool. Just like that.
For this pulled handle, it's going to focus on just pulling the center of a coil. So you're going to roll out a coil and then continue to roll out just the center of it to keep thicker ends on both sides. So you're going to kind of create like a bone shape, a long bone shape, and you're going to use those larger ends are what's going to attach to your pot. So you're going to really want to clean them up nice. Don't make them too thick. Those will attach to the top and bottom of your cup. Then you're going to use the same pulling method from the previous video, but instead you're only going to stretch out the center part. So you're only compressing with the water down the center of that coil, keeping your ends quite thick. Once you've stretched it out to the length that you are happy with, because this one you don't need to stretch all the way because you're using this whole piece to attach to your pot. So you don't want to stretch it as long as the previous video. But once you get it to where you want, you've cleaned it up, then you're just going to loop it over to set up on your board until you're ready to attach to your pot.
Roll this out to very thin. I let this set up a little bit so it's slightly stiff, and I want it to be about this. I want it to be about the thickness of a piece of double mint gum, like a stick of gum. So it'll be about that thin, and I think that's pretty good. I'm gonna smooth it out. You make this handle any size. I got this actually from a teapot hand building thing, and now I use it almost exclusively because I just really like the form of it, and I feel like it makes a nice handle. So now I'm going to cut it into kind of a upside down pyramid type shape. Now I'm just going to fold it into the middle. The same thing on the other side. I kind of want to flatten out. I want to make sure there's no air pockets or anything. Then I'm going to pinch it into a Y type shape. And then after I do that, I'm going to knock off these edges. So a lot of times what I'll do is I'll get it right here and get it to about how I think I want it to look on the cup. I think that's good.
So you have your little piece of clay. It's not a super scientific process. I'm just gonna make a little snake as even as possible. So this part is getting ripped off, not even. And then I'm just going to lightly press it down. Don't worry about getting it super, super exact and even. I just want to make one sleek side, make it look rectangular, smooth out the other side, and tuck in those edges. And then I'm just going to delicately pat both sides, maybe get the clay boogers off my hands a little bit. Make another piece similar to that one. They don't have to be exactly identical, they're going to be joined together, but it's better if they're pretty close. So you might want to take more time on this and roll it out with a couple of dowels if you need to get them just exact. I usually just eyeball things. So I have a couple pieces now. Just gonna cut off the end parts. And if your clay's short, this may not happen super smoothly, as you can see here. But if it starts cracking like that, just smooth with one thumb or finger on the inside and just press it around. And you want to join these last little parts here to make a teardrop shape. Thumbs up. You'll score and slip here if your clay isn't as supple as this is. But for this demonstration, not super serious. I can take my thumb out and then form it more, tucking in those edges and stretching them out if I need to. Here's where you could make perhaps more expressive handle by smoothing in this inner part and having ridges on either side if you want to. I'm pretty bland, so I just flatten mine out. So say I'm really sloppy and this is as good as it's gonna get for time's sake. You want a little teardrop like that. You can mess with it more, make it just perfect if you want. You're gonna do a similar shape with this one. So what I like to do if I know it's gonna crack a little bit on the outside because it's short, is that I'll smooth it on the inside and coax it into a curve. And you can see it's not cracking there. Got to speak gentle to your clay. Make another little loop. And if the loop is too small, you can press out with your inner finger, kind of like when you're making a bowl wider, you're pressing outward with your inner finger. And these are actually going to be where you put your finger, but you might want to stretch them out more, in which case you could also hit both sides and give yourself more clay on the inner strip to work with, and make them larger and larger by pressing against the inside out. To say that that's done, then you're literally just scratching and attaching. You would add your slip here. I prefer them to look kind of like little clover petals really close together. I don't like the Mickey Mouse vibe of having them like this, like a heart. So I have them up against each other. This part right here is where you're going to attach it to the cup. So you'll have two little florets for finger holes here. So really, if you want them to look better, which for demonstration purposes I probably should, I would smooth this out. You can use a tool if you'd like. This is the in progress side, clearly, and this is more of what you want it to look like. So then you would really just scratch it on this side and attach it to the side of something. So you would scratch it on the side, right? Pretend it's a cup. You have a soup bowl. Marry them in, and you could add a coil around the outside if you really need to. Add slip if you feel a little bit hesitant about that. and then you can reshape these a little more if you need to.
I've wedged this piece of clay and then I've just kind of slapped it into shape like that until I have kind of this long brick. And you need you need some loop tools. These are 2 different shaped loop tools. They also sell lots of other little shapes that are meant for making handles. But try out the different loop tools you have. You want something that's going to make a big enough handle for you. So like if you have a really giant vase or mug that you're trying to do, this loop tool is probably not a good idea for you. You don't want a really tiny handle on your really big jug. But it's a super simple process. I'm just going to take my loop tool and I'm going to carve into my log, and I want to go so my entire tool is hidden. And I can make this as long or as short as I want. I like to make an extra long one so I have stuff to play with. And then you just peel away the outside. Oh no, it might be a little wet. Nice log.
Oh, cool.
And then you can wedge that back into shape and make another one. And this one I would let set up for a while. You can curl it. So it'll start to make your handle shape. You can either let it stand or put it on its side. Let that set up for a while, and then you can come back to it with your finishing sponge and smooth it out. Those you'd have to fuss with because it's a little more abstract form. And you never want the handle to go above the rim.
While using a pony roller, it doesn't matter, you can have a rounded edge or a flat edge. You're going to roll over a coil that you've rolled out, and you're just going to use your roller at an angle to bevel your coil into a kind of a sharp edge. You're going to keep going back and forth trying to apply even pressure, and then once you've got it, you're going to pull it off. I recommend doing this on paper or on a board, not on the table, it's going to stick. But you're going to put it onto something that's rounded out like this rolling pin, and you're just going to let it sit. It's ready to apply to your pot. Instead of using clay, I decided I wanted to add some driftwood that I varnished to this coffee carafe. So I'm going to use some wood and some wire to attach it. I have 2 pieces of wood, and I'm not sure which one I want to use, so I'm going to just kind of look at it and hold them in different directions to figure out which one I like best, and I like the second one, I think, better. Now I'm going to pull out some wire. I want more than I think I need, and I'm just going to start wrapping the wire around both the stick and those little loops I created with clay on my pot, and you're just literally wrapping and wrapping. I have a hard time grabbing the wire, so I'm using some pliers here, and I'm going to keep going until I have it nicely attached. You can wrap the wire completely around those clay loops if you want to, or you can just put them on the wood. Totally up to you. You want to make sure it's tight and secure, so take your time. Once you have it on how you like it, you can start on the second one, and you can always go back and keep adding. I had a sponge in between the top of the stick and the top of the carafe, just so that the wood stays in place so I know where to wrap it. And just to make it easier to get the wire around the bottom, I've put the carafe on a piece of foam so I don't crack it. So here's the final wrapped piece. It's sturdy. I can hold it by the wood and pour coffee out of it eventually. Here's the final piece. I also did it to a matching cup. Here are some other alternative handles. Again, the wood with leather string. I've got reed wrapped with jute, and also a rounded reed with a flat reed. So if you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask us.